This single application will save you tons of time no matter who you are. Texting with a friend and quickly want to send your YouTube channel link. Or you're a programmer who wants to quickly enter some piece of code. Or you're just entering your address on Amazon. Or you want to set some shortcuts to your most commonly used GPT prompts. You can even set shortcuts to insert emojis. This application is none other than Espanso, a simple text expander tool that is both free and open source. So let's go to the Espanso website, which is at espanso.org. Right here, you want to go into installation and click on the required file if you have, whether you have Windows, Mac OS, or you want to install this for Linux. So you can follow the instructions on the documentation page. Once you have Espanso installed, you should see it in your system tray right here. So you can see that I have Espanso up and running. The next step is to navigate to Espanso's root directory. To navigate to the root directory, you can open terminal. And just type Espanso path. So you can see the path for the configuration files, the different packages that you install. So let's navigate to this particular configuration, Control C. I'm going to press Windows R, which will open up this run window, Control V, and just hit enter. You should see your Espanso root directory here. Now let's navigate into config. So I suggest you install like a software like VS Code to view these YAML source files. You can also view them in Notepad. So let's first show this in Notepad. So it will look like this in Notepad, but if you want syntax highlighting, I suggest you open it in VS Code. So you can see, okay, so you have the option of setting a toggle key here to toggle Espanso on and off, and the search shortcut for searching all your Espanso shortcuts. Let's navigate back to the Espanso root directory. So here under match, you have all your YAML source files that contain the information that Espanso looks for, as in the triggers and what to replace it with. Under packages, you have all the packages you install from the Espanso community packages. So if you go into Espanso's website right here, you can see all the packages that are available that different people have made and published. So for example, there is always something here for someone. If you say, let's look at languages. So there are language accents in shortcuts. When it comes to utility, there are various utility shortcuts. For maths, there are LaTeX shortcuts. For development, shell, there are other. So there is quite literally something for everyone here. And I think I had even seen something for medicine. Let me just search that up here. Yeah, you can see there is something for medical documentation as well. And med expansions, if you are a doctor writing medicines, you can use this particular package. So you can always explore this, and you can simply install this. Installing is as simple as downloading that folder and placing it in your packages folder. Like you can see over here, I have the German accents package installed, lorem ipsum, math, obsidian, and quantum. Now these are some other YAML source files that I have created for my own use. So let's go now to the match folder under Espanso's root directory. Let's open the base file, which is the default file that will be there once you install Espanso. And this will give us an idea of how exactly Espanso works and how to set it up for your needs. So if you notice over here, firstly, YAML is sensitive to tabs or indentations. So be careful while making edits in these, and make sure you have the tab and indentation structure correctly done. This is the reason I recommend using a code viewer like VS Code that gives you syntax highlighting. So here, for example, if I don't put the space, the color of this sentence changes, which sort of gives us an error. So for example, let's see what happens if you make a mistake in this YAML file and try to save it. So you will get an error message from Espanso saying that errors detected, and this happens due to syntax errors that occur in your YAML file. So now let's fix our error and try to save it again. So now you'll get a notification from Espanso saying that configuration is reloaded without any errors. Now here you can see that you can have normal basic replaces. So for example, if you notice, there are some, this is a basic trigger and a basic replace. You just have some text here and there is directly a replace here. This is a multi-line replace. So if you put this symbol that is above enter in most keyboards and a dash, you can write multi-line replaces, or even you can give double quotation marks and give multi-line replaces, as I'll show you later. Espanso also has the functionality of dynamic variables that change with time. For example, today's date or today's time. You can read about this in the documentation provided on Espanso's website. So let's now make our own YAML file. You can split your triggers and your expansions into different files to make them more organized. Let's now create our own file. So for this, to make it easier, I'm just going to duplicate our base file. That way we can, with the syntax is already there, and we can make changes. So for example, let's now put here the MATLAB plot command that I want this to replace. Okay, Espanso is on. Let me just turn that off. So I want exclamation plot to replace it with this. So keep in mind over here that your text has to be indented properly, or else you will get errors thrown when you try to save the file. Let's actually make the semicolon, because I already have an exclamation plot. And for here, let's try to keep it me.name, and I'll replace it with my name. Let's also add an email here that I wanted to replace. So for example, me.abcmail, I want that to replace it with abcme@gmail.com. So just keep in mind about the indents and the spaces. So you want a hyphen here, a space, trigger, semicolon, space, and then you can enclose your triggers and replace within double quotes. So just keep that in mind. I'll also add a link to my channel here. So I'll put it as link.yt. I'm just keeping this dot format so that it's easy for me to remember later on. So I can create, so this is sort of in my mind like classes of sorts, where I have me dot, say address dot my current location, and address dot so and so for different locations. Or if it's for links, say link.youtube, for link.yt for YouTube, link.insta for Instagram, link.linkedin for LinkedIn links, so on and so forth. So let's just replace that here. I'll just go ahead and copy it and paste it here. So I'll just make sure I enclose this with double quotes. You can also not enclose it with double quotes. As you can see, it does work for certain things, but sometimes you might have issues with special characters that Espanso recognizes for other functions. Let's also add a GPT prompt here. So for example, I'll name it prompt.sentence, and I'll replace it with, or say for example, prompt.define, and I'll replace it with my prompt. I'll just copy my prompt and I'll replace it here. So I have pasted my my prompt that I usually use for defining new words and using this word in a sentence so that I can remember its meaning and also maybe give it a mnemonic. I use this with ChatGPT for maybe memorizing new words. And this over here, if you see, is something, it's an interesting feature of Espanso. So once you replace this text, once you enter this prompt or define, it will replace this text and it will bring your cursor to this point over here. So you can quickly just type the word and hit enter, as I showed you in the beginning of this video. And that might be useful in many cases. Espanso also has the functionality of forms where you can set templates for, say, example, for emails. So you might want to have a generic reply crafted for a particular response like yes or no. And you can have fields in this email which you can replace with different names or different topics. And you can create these forms. You can read the documentation for this on Espanso's website as well. So let's just add one last thing. I'll just show you how to add emojis here as well. And I'm going to maybe name it E dot. So for emojis, I'll start it with E dot. So say smiley, and I will replace it over here with the smiley emoji. So Windows period to bring up the emoji insert part. So smile. Yep, that should do. Let's now go ahead and save this file. And hopefully it should not, let's remove these things. Let's now hit save and let's see if we get any errors. We haven't gotten any errors. It has gotten saved successfully. And let's just rename this file as well. I'll just save this as well. And I'll just rename this file into trial. Now let's try how this has worked for us. So I think me.name should replace it with my name. Link.yt. Okay, so here's another interesting feature of Espanso. If you have multiple entries with the same trigger, Espanso will ask you which one you want it to replace with. So for example, over here I have link.yt in my older file that I had created before, and also the file I just now created. So I just hit enter there. So, and the emoji that we added, e.smiley, there we go, it all works. Let's look at our prompt. Prompt.define. There you see the cursor goes back to that word as well. Finally, let's add our MATLAB command here as well. Semicolon plot. Yep, there we go. So that was a quick rundown of how you can set triggers and replace strings for Espanso. I also use Espanso extensively with Obsidian. Perhaps I will make another video about this, about how I use Espanso with Obsidian and the log functionality that I've incorporated into Obsidian. So if you guys want to see a video on that, please leave a comment. That is it for this video, guys. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, let me know by hitting the like button, and maybe tell me in the comments what kind of videos you'd like to see next.